from the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Welcome to the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up, construction worker killed in crane collapse. Government describes threat of nationwide industrial action over recent tariff hikes as misplaced and misdirected. Local chapter of TEU at Ghana Medical School Akolibu locks up lecture halls in agitation over allowances. UNAIDS pledges to support local pharmaceutical company to secure WHO certification for the production of antiretrovirals. And inflation for September increases to 3-year high. We also have sports, showbiz and international news coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Now, very first story. Government has described as misplaced and misdirected the 10-day ultimatum given government over recently announced utility tariffs. Minister of Information and Media Relations Mama Yariga is, however, urging organized labour to suspend its intended action to allow dialogue.
The Information and Media Relations Minister was addressing the media at the daily briefing series at the Flagstaff House in Accra. He first defended government's position on the tariff increment.
The challenges that our utilities are facing now, I mean, part of the reason why we continue to have inadequate supply of utility services such as water and electricity is largely because the investments needed in those sectors are not forthcoming. One, government is constrained in terms of being able to give them the kind of monies that they need to expand production capacities and distribution networks.
Mama Yariga later expressed grave concern at the 10-day ultimatum given by organized labor.
We find the threat to government as being misdirected, because if you threaten government that if we don't reduce the tariffs, when you know that the tariff adjustment has been done by PURC, which is an independent legal entity, it's difficult to appreciate exactly what you are calling for unless they are calling for continued subsidies. And if you're asking for continued subsidies, it is important to appreciate the fact that whatever government spends subsidizing will definitely be coming from tax money. And so you're either asking for more taxes or that existing tax money should be used to subsidize energy consumption.
He later made an appeal to the labor groups.
It is in the light of this that government set up a technical committee which is to look at the impact of the adjustment and present proposals to us as to how to address the burden on certain sectors of our economy and our society. We believe that TUC will have to review the stand that they have taken in relation to the tariff increment and engage PURC and government in a dialogue instead of taking such a very hard.
Still on labour, the National Association of Graduate Teachers has called on members to disregard any directive with regards to the rationalization and redeployment exercise being carried out by the Ghana Education Service. According to the Vice President, Eric Angel Kabonu, the exercise does not follow any laid-down GS guideline.
According to the National Association of Graduate Teachers, the rationalization and redeployment exercise carried out within the Ghana Education Service was done without consultation with stakeholders. NAGRAT is also alleging some directors are using the exercise to settle personal scores with members. In an interaction with the Vice President, Eric Angel Kabonu, he said his outfit was not served notice prior to the redeployment exercise.
It is being done in such a way that there are no modalities. So it has lent itself to abuse, and people are using this development to settle old scores. And Nagrat is saying that no teacher should leave any school or any office until such a time that we have gotten guidelines and modalities and have also come up with a roadmap acceptable to all stakeholders.
He hinted that the supposed exercise carried out within the sector is as a result of a directive from the Ministry of Finance.
There was a directive from the Ministry of Finance to the Ghana Education Service that the budget of the Ghana Education Service with regards to salaries was too huge. We have information from the grapevine that there is a ban on employment in the Ghana Education Service, at least with regards to secondary schools. The Ministry of Finance do not have money, and it is directing GES to stop employment.
He added they have called on the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service to halt the exercise with immediate effect to allow for further consultation.
We have called on the GES to suspend the exercise and also to engage various stakeholders so that a guideline and a plan will be formulated, and then we also have a roadmap.
He further stressed on the need for his members to disregard the directive till all issues are properly addressed.
Now, the large number of workers on government payroll has, meanwhile, been described as one of the biggest challenges confronting the Ghanaian economy. According to the Vice President of Policy think tank Imani Ghana, Kofi Bento, the situation is especially serious because they are amongst the least productive of the country's workforce. He was contributing to a discussion on Joy FM's Super Morning Show.
Kofi Bento was very uncharitable in his comments about the public sector workforce and charged government to do something about it.
We don't need that many people, and they are expensive. There is something that you have to get for what you pay. Single spine itself should not be a loss if our public service is delivering services. We really will be making money off them. So we do need a public service. The total productivity of the civil service, it's about 10 to 30% of what it must be. We have a civil and public service made up of about 500,000 people out of 25 million. This 500,000 people, with all due respect to them, are amongst the least productive group of people in this country, and they take 70% of all our revenue.
He added government itself needed to be trimmed.
You have an expensive parliament of 275 people who are supposed to make law. You don't need more than 50 people to make law. That's my position in this country. And they have to draw so much. We don't have more resources than Parliament has. So if they say they don't have resources, my question is, how come we can do some things that you
and
can
they
do?
can't seem to see it.
And we get back and we go and see how many flaws there are in this thing. The failure of the check system, we are wasting money.
Chief Policy Analyst at the Ghana Institute for Public Policy Options, Dr. Charles Rekubube, who was also on the program, was also unconvinced about the effectiveness of Parliament as a check on the executive.
Paying bloated civil service, they are actually being asked to do nothing. Government has been very clever in making sure that they get paid at the end of every month so they don't have to complain. The size of governance must be trimmed, and trimmed dramatically. He's not just talking about the ministries. Now, every time you create a district, all those districts are not paying their way. So I think instead of blaming single spine, we should look at people ought to be paid well. If you want to reduce corruption in governance, you must pay those who are looking after our money well. So in that respect, I support single spine. But how many people do you need to pay?
The panelists also had issues with the rising debt stock, describing it as unsustainable, especially because most of the funds are being used to repay maturing loans.
In other news, Ochehini Amwetio for repaying is worried about poor sanitation and inappropriate waste management practices and its effects on health. He has therefore launched a Cleaner Communities Network campaign project to enhance sanitation and promote healthy lifestyle.
More than 75% of child deaths in Ghana is as a result of poor sanitation and hygiene-related diseases like malaria, typhoid, diarrhea, cholera, according to the Ghana Health Service. Though countries including Ghana have taken measures aimed at improving sanitation and promoting healthy lifestyles, every little impact has been made. The goal of Ochehini's sanitation project is to complement the sanitation improvement efforts of government by creating support systems and functions to involve civil society, the business community, and all stakeholders. The Ochehini Osajifo Amweti of Oipenyin was optimistic that Cleaner Communities Network campaign will help communities and the public find solutions to sanitation challenges.
We came from homes where our parents taught us how to clean. Remember, our mothers got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to clean the house, wash dishes before they sleep, wake us up. And the first thing they say, go to the bathroom and wash your body, clean your teeth, comb your hair, tack in your shirt, iron your clothes. If we don't begin to decentralize this country and place responsibilities in the hands of local folks, let them take charge of their own destiny. Let Adabaka run its own sanitation problem. Let Osu do the same. Let the people of Chebi handle their own sanitation.
The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Akwesio Pomfosu, was grateful and promised government support for the project.
Currently, all the indicators reveal a trend of growing mismatch between solid waste management costs and funding, and the resultant rising indebtedness to solid waste management contractors. This in turn has contributed to the growing mismatch between increase in fiscal deficits and the capacity to service the growing debts, and thus jeopardizing growth. The capacity of governments and the district assemblies to deal adequately with the problem of increasing waste generation and accompanying environmental degeneration in the country is far outstripped by the resources required to manage the problem.
The Deputy Minister of Chieftaincy and Culture, John Alexander Okon, said Ghana would take the fight against poor sanitation seriously and rid the country of filth.
Ghana Post has launched commemorative stamps in honor of the late President Mills. The stamps have a face value of 1 Ghana cedi, enough to send a letter from Accra to any part of the country. The first issue was ever sold off at 500 Ghana cedis after it failed to attract any bids at the opening price of 1,000 Ghana cedis.
The stamps were to honor President Mills and to recognize his role in the country's developmental efforts. Ghana Post is the nation's only public postal service after the former Ghana Post and Telecommunications Company was separated. Though the company has gone through challenges, it has survived, and according to officials, it's poised to make strides. The government of Ghana, at the launch of commemorative stamps in memory of late Professor Mills, urged the company to reposition itself in using technology to revamp the business.
President Mills tirelessly worked to improve the lives of Ghanaians. He helped promote economic growth in Ghana in the midst of challenging global circumstances and strengthened Ghana's democracy. He had the temperament to easily accommodate all shades of opinions. He was ready to listen, ready to forgive, and also ready to offer genuine godly guidance. He believed in the youth. Even in his death, echoes of his unalloyed preference for peace continues to reverberate.
Government, in its efforts at supporting Ghana Post, pledged 5 million Ghana cedis to Ghana Post. Representing the Mills family, the brother of the late Professor Mills, Cadman Mills, expressed the family's gratefulness for the honor done them.
They depict the late President John Ivan Sata Mills as a young man riding his bicycle, as a statesman greeting world leaders, whether or not it be Obama, or the Secretary General of the United Nations. It depicts him as a man of the people, meeting various other people. It depicts him as a politician, taking an oath of office, conferring with his vice president. It depicts him as a family man.
The stamp is made up of the pictures of the late president and other world political leaders.
UNAIDS has pledged to support local pharmaceutical company Danadams to secure WHO certification as an international antiretroviral manufacturer. Though the company currently produces ARVs for the local market, the certification would enable it to sell to other countries. Officials, however, told a UNAIDS team who toured the facility today government's patronage of their ARVs is poor.
The company's chief executive showed the UNAIDS team around the production facility and the stock of more than 50,000 units of ARVs, he says, should have been supplied to HIV and AIDS sufferers. As the sole manufacturer of ARVs, Dr. Yao Edujemfi says that Adams could do with a lot more governmental support.
As sizable as we are, I gave a document. We had a contract from the Ministry of Health 2011 for 5.4 million. 2012, no contract. 2013, no contract. How do you get investors to put their money whereby they don't know where you're going to sell your product? There was a recent tender which was just recently done between Dan Adams and a company from South Africa and a company from India where we buy our raw materials. How can you compete against the person you're buying raw materials from? So even when they did the tender, we still were able to become competitive on the 4 of the products, except one of them that we buy the raw materials from that competitor.
The company's CEO talks about gaining access to the Cote d'Ivoire market with their ARVs, but adds that certification from the World Health Organization would be a major boost.
In all the 15 countries, we have 5.3 million HIV patients. Danadams is ready. You saw that our capacity that we have, we are just using only 45%. 55% is idle. We are more than capable with the efficient personnel to be able to increase our production so that the investors who are putting their money in it will have confidence that yes, after the 2-year moratorium, Dan Adams will be able to pay us back the money that they are putting in. Without that, they are very hesitant. With all the political situation that we're in Ghana, we would have signed this agreement past 2 months ago. But because of all the political situation, Propaco was not willing to move forward.
UNAIDS country coordinator Jemay Hill could not say much about complaints about government's patronage of the company's ARVs, but said the efficacy of the product is not in doubt.
The request by Dan Adams to be supported not only by government but by investors, by interested parties, and those of us like the United Nations who can create that forum and that opportunity for this person, for these kinds of people to access market, to get the commodities known, and also be able to integrate with what is happening in the region. I think it is right.
Now, the problem with Dan Adams is that they don't have international certification, and so they can't sell to the international market. That is one of the biggest challenges they have here at the company. So UNAIDS is here touring to ensure that at least they secure them an international certification so that they can be internationally competitive. Ameto Namse reporting for Joy News.
A construction worker this afternoon lost his life when he was crushed by a collapsing crane he was working on. One other worker who managed to jump off the crane is said to have been sent to the hospital with severe injuries. Joy News was there.
It was a gory sight when the team got to the scene. Colleagues of the deceased, whose name was given as David, looked on in shock at the body which had been pulled down from the crane. Eyewitnesses, however, described how the part of his body was left hanging after it had been severed. There was no representative of the company available to comment on the accident, but the crane had been registered in the name of One Antarctica. One of the onlookers who claimed to be the assembly member suggested the company did not have a construction permit.
It's a mechanical problem, and I cannot speak for the company. I am the presiding member of the assembly. I was called a few moments ago that there was a problem, and when I got there, it was a disaster.
We have more news coming up after the break. Don't go away. The local chapter of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital today locked up the lecture halls of the University of Ghana Medical School. The TEU chapter is demanding renegotiation of some allowances and an upward adjustment of the base pay under the single spine salary structure.
Members of TEU for the past 6 weeks have been on strike, demanding a correction of the disparities and distortions in the grading structure of employees of public universities. Officials, as part of their demands, want a review of Category 2 and 3 of the allowances, as well as an upward adjustment of their market premium and base pay under the single spine salary structure. So for the past 6 weeks, activities and operations in some departments at all public universities have virtually come to a halt. For TEU workers at the University of Ghana Medical School, they resolved to lock up lecture halls, claiming their 6-week strike action has not yielded any results. Hence the laid-back attitude of government and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. On Thursday morning, the once busy dental school was left empty as lecturers and students could not access the place to carry out their work. The main entrance to the administration block and other lecture halls of the institution were all under lock and key. Interestingly, management of the school managed to find spare keys to unlock some of the lecture rooms. So by noon, lectures had started, but junior doctors who spoke to Joy News team did indicate that the strike has had a great toll on the academic work.
It has really affected us badly in terms of how we come to class, and sometimes the PA systems are not working. And if you sit at the back, you won't actually hear what the lecturers are saying. Sometimes we go to our practical classes, maybe the doors will be locked. Come to lectures. This morning, for instance, we came and the doors were locked. So we had to have a lecture somewhere else. And for my colleagues who are in second year, coming from Legon campus, they also come on they have been coming on their own for some time until yesterday when the school decided to send a bus to pick them also. And I think it's very bad because if students have paid an amount of transportation and they have to be coming by themselves, it's very, very, very bad. And it's dangerous too.
It makes it seem as if maybe they are less important or something. Yeah. But this is the case, we need them to work because they have to open up the place, set up the projectors for us to have lectures and all that. So
the TEU chairman of the College of Health Sciences Kolebu campus, Suleimana Karim, said the strike would continue unabated until Government and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission hit to their demands.
We will certainly remain resolute on our demands that we equally qualify for this premium, this hospital premium. And so until such a time that they decide to pay this particular premium to all category of staff, we will still be on strike.
Other TEU members also expressed grave concern at the slow pace at which government was reacting to their concerns.
There are some category of staff, you don't need qualification. You don't need first degree to be a cleaner in the lab. We don't use PhD for lab technicians. So clearly, our value that we add is not necessary to be in a high position because the messenger cleaner comes to the ward or comes to the lab there to clean. And so when you deny them, it is unacceptable. And so what we are saying is that both governments, the responsible parties, not until they solve this problem, we will not come.
Management of the school were in a crunch meeting when we tried to get a reaction to the action of TEU workers.
Traders at the Kotakraba market in Cape Coast are threatening to demonstrate by the end of October if government fails to start work on the construction of the market complex. According to the traders, they are fed up with assurances and promises from government on the project and want the work started immediately.
The news that a new ultra-modern market was to be constructed at Kotakraba, the central business district of Cape Coast, was received with excitement by residents of Cape Coast. After several promises by government to start the project, the market women who have been temporarily relocated say their businesses are running down. The traders who were expected to be housed in temporary structures are disappointed. The structures are yet to be put up years after relocation they have for several months been at the mercy of the scorching sun and heavy rains. The situation, according to the traders, has affected their sales and has brought untold hardships on them. The traders expressed worry, years of assurance and promises from government officials on the construction of the market this year to yield results. The latest assurance, according to them, was given by Vice President Kwesi Arthur during the Ugwa Fitu Afashe, after the paramount chief of the Ugwa traditional area, barima.asare, raised concerns about the slow pace of work at the Kotokraba market. According to traders, the delay in executing the project, coupled with conflicting information about the construction of the market from government officials, heightened their fears and makes them believe that government has taken them for granted. The traders are hinting of a massive demonstration by the end of the month if they do not see any positive development at the construction site.
At the same time, I am for one pra, and I pay a tubu. We all get tickets. Into the peasants, I mean, what them decided there. Market women say, what demonstration? And you it's why I be my hair, Pachawa, where I catch you too much. It's why I be my hair, pay for. I had a my yes on this engine. There's a naked of a municipal. Yeah, you should to so and what a man or Yanako. And when you say, no, you swear, I said, when I said, it's one more what do you got it the idea. You got on the agenda, let me have since only you say, I want you to shoot over fair now, I say, it is one more what do you got on your man. I know yes, a papa. Workers law one, what we wouldn't work a day, where Baba and I was a man. Bada, in your case, baby, I'm a saying. Osiado, I don't baby alone. Baby, I'm a saying. Nina, oh, yeah, how? Since I need over catch and MC or a bar. MC bar, you wouldn't. Where for baby on Kay? Into work for one command. Now your brother could cover a jar. I, at what then you. I wasn't able to open the fire. The BBS of the Weboya, the BBS of Weboya, yeah, come on, send me out one Casaya. Was trying to put the 2 tear, send Shurutala, yet Sinshinu, and 1 minute before I was to take to my was a sad name. And you mentioned it so bad, you have to take time here. You should show them here, you're not them, then get me behind generation of accommodation.
Elsewhere, an ultra more than €400,000 maternity block constructed for the Skado Hospital in the Western region is to be pulled down. Authorities of the hospital have refused to accept the structure due to what they describe as structural defects. A report by Western region correspondent William Benjamin Peters.
The facility was put up with the support of tallow oil to ease congestion at the maternity ward, which records 200 deliveries daily. Work is reported to have started in 2012 after hospital authorities approached tallow oil. A senior health information officer of the hospital, Anthony Gustav Adongo, explained that the approval of the project subsequently saw construction work completed in 2013. Unfortunately, authorities, upon inspecting the facility, realized there were structural defects as a result of poor work done by the consultant and contractor. Hospital authorities fear the defects could result in disaster, and management decided to pull down the entire structure worth €400,000 with the intention of constructing a new facility to meet their expectation.
But unfortunately for us, we saw that the work that was done was poor. So as I speak to you now, they are going to pull down this structure with the intention of building a new structure for us to be used as our maternity block. So it is costing at least €400,000.
According to the senior health information officer, hospital authorities were not allowed to inspect the structure during its construction and attributed the poor work done to that factor. He indicated that the technical details regarding the conduct of the contractor and consultant will be evaluated by authorities. He, however, refused disclosing their identity.
You all know it was not, in fact, there wasn't any monitoring and works there, so they let the construction works in the hands of the contractor, and he did whatever he wanted to do, and at the end of the day we saw that the work done was poor. We blame the contractor and then the consultant himself, because we were expecting that as work was going on, we should have come to at least inspect.
William Benjamin Peters report from the Western region.
Hello, welcome to Joy Business. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi. Now, the country's electricity generation capacity will be reduced by 36 megawatts over a 4-year period starting from July next year to enable a retrofitting of the Pong hydroelectric plant. The project is estimated to cost 36 million euros. Now, the Volta River Authority, however, explains the reduction in generation capacity should not result in load shedding. The Volta River Authority, to improve on its power generation and prevent a lot more of power failures, is undergoing expansion works and maintenance on its plant. The Pong power plant, for instance, would be undergoing some sort of maintenance from next year, July, at a cost of 36 million euros. Now, the 4 plants that are running would have one of it which produces 36 megawatts being shut down. But the good news is that it would not result in any load shedding. Though the retrofitting will not increase the generation capacity of the plant, officials explain it has become necessary, having been in use for more than 30 years.
The retrofitting means we shut one unit down at a time, and that unit is about 36 megawatts. Yes, our total power generation here is about, for demand, off peak is around 1,300 or 1,400, and then peak time is around, maximum will be 1,008 or so. And now we can generate about 2,000 megawatts. So it means that even if you take 36, we will have about 200 to 300 spinning reserve. So if we take 36 out, still we have 200 megawatts to go into it. So it is enough. There will be no power cut.
The VRA has meanwhile lined up other projects it says should increase the generation capacity. Amongst them is the Pong thermal plant, which started in October last year to add 220 megawatts of electricity by the last quarter of 2014. The project, which cost $200 million, is about 50% complete.
We've done the first 2 gas turbine generator foundations. As at today, they've been cast and they are fully cured. Awaiting the receipt of the gas turbine generator equipment. This project is being funded from internally generated funds, VRS internally generated funds. Okay, so what we are doing is to get a backup facility from Fidelity Bank, okay, so that they can cushion us cruise through the turbulent waters. The bridge facility is just about 15 million euros. Just to help us to pay the bills for now, okay, up to the end of this year. But the major facility is yet to be put in.
The plant, after its completion, will have natural gas as its primary fuel and diesel as backup. A 10-kilometer pipeline will therefore be constructed in order to access gas from the West African gas pipeline while awaiting gas from the Jubilee field. The Temasek thermal power plant, with 3 stations producing a total of 240 megawatts of power, will also see some maintenance and expansion. Already, Station 1 of the complex, producing 80 megawatts of power, has been down 6 months due to the high cost of diesel, which is the only fuel it uses. The plant is, however, being upgraded so it can burn both diesel and natural gas. The upgrade should last between 4 and 5 months. All the stations should eventually undergo an upgrade so they can burn gas, diesel and light crude oil. Abigail Admakunchi reporting for Joy News. Well, the President, John Mahama, has appointed industrialist and management consultant Michael Ejekumado as chairman of the reconstituted board of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. Now, other members of the GIPC board appointed by the President in consultation with the Council of State are Stephanie Waiter, Irene Demenya, Gwenda Sam, Aaron Dixon, Ebenezer Ni Ayi Ayite, Aaron Rex Sopoku Ahene, and the acting CEO of the GIPC. Other boards reconstituted by the President are the PSC Tema Shipyard Company and the Intercity STC Coaches Limited boards. Now, for the Tema Shipyard, we have Rear Admiral Mohammed Tahiru as the chairman, and Cornelius K.A. Jame, Nancy Amate Fio, Honorable Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, Honorable Dominic Ayini, Honorable Kweku Ricketts Hagen, Acting Chief Executive, and for the Intercity STC Coaches Limited, we have Patrick Vanderpoy as chairman, Yao Obimpe, Anita Esi Anan, Professor S.B. Kendi, Abraham Amaliba, Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, and the acting managing director. Okay, so inflation in September rose to 11.9%, the highest in 3 years. The Ghana Statistical Service attributes this to last month's increase in fuel prices. The price of some cereals and other products in the food group was also to blame. The Consumer Price Index, which measures the change over time in the general prices of goods and services consumed by households, indicated that prices between August and September had declined marginally by negative 0.7%. In spite of this, prices from September last year to the same period this year went up by 0.4 percentage points, pegging inflation rate for the month of September at 11.9% from 11.5% in August. Following recent adjustments in the prices of petroleum products, transport emerged a key driver of the current inflation rate, which recorded a rate of 27.7%, above the non-food group average year-on-year inflation rate of 14.2%. Miscellaneous goods and services under the non-food group recorded 16.3% inflation, followed by clothing and footwear, which also stood at 15.9%. Food and non-alcoholic beverages group also recorded an average year-on-year inflation rate of 8.9%, with cereals and products recording 12.2% inflation, above the average food inflation. September comes across as a harvest season, but the figures reflect a change, hence the need for policies to target the components of the consumer inflation.
We have time and again disaggregated the components of inflation in Ghana. We've given the weights of the various items or commodity groups that consumers purchase. We know that some are more sensitive to price changes than others. So policies that government will adopt that will impact highly on the groups that have a bigger weight in the basket of goods that consumers consume would automatically affect the inflation.
So I'll be back tomorrow with more business updates.
Joy News Business was brought to you in association.
Sports is brought to you in association with.
All right, so news making rounds in the world of sports. Let's start here in the country. And President John Mahama has assured the Black Stars of the country's support ahead of the World Cup playoff first leg against Egypt next Tuesday. President Mahama turned up at Kwesi Appiah's training after they were done at the Accra Sports Stadium and spent some time with the boys.
We've come a very long way to this point. All the matches we've played have finally come down to one match. And that match is the last hurdle we have to cross to be in Brazil. So this match is more important than all the other matches we've played. We have to put this in the bag in order that all the other labors that we have engaged in become fruitful. So let's focus on this match, Egypt, and let's defeat them. I was told that this is your last training session in Accra before you leave this afternoon for Kumasi. And so I took time off, I left office to come and see you as the chief supporter of your team, as the leader of this country, to tell you that the whole country is solidly behind you. Whatever we should do to support you to win this match, we shall do. And that is why I'm sure you've been informed already. Your bonuses have been topped up. Everything is under control. And so we'll do our bit. But all of us can't go on the field. It's you who are the most talented in our country. And so you are going to represent us on the field. And we expect nothing short but victory. I want to commend your technical team and your coach you know, for the way in which they've handled the team. I hear morale is high, like the minister said. I keep calling to ask how the team is and all that, and he tells me morale is very high in the camp. That is what we want. We don't want there to be any impediment in your way. And so we'll do our part, but at the end, it will come down to you those on the pitch. And so we hope we can count on you. And so let me thank you very much. I wish you good luck. And even though I'll not be in Kumasi to watch the match, you can be sure that I'll be behind my TV watching what's happening. And so give us the best gift, Christmas gift of this year, and that is the qualifier to Brazil. And so we count on you. We'll be praying for you. We know God is on our side. We'll pray to the Almighty God to give you victory, and I'm sure that He will answer our prayers.
President of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantechi, who was also present at the team's training session, told Joy Sports he's impressed with the team's preparation so far and touched on a range of issues.
It's a huge motivation to the team. The decision of the president to squeeze time and visit the team will boost the morale of the players. It will motivate them. It will spur them on. And I think it's very timely. Just the day that the team is leaving to Kumasi. The captain himself summarized their feeling that they are very well motivated by that. And that should spur them on to victory on Tuesday. They have written a letter to acknowledge receipt of our protest, and have indicated to us that they were monitoring the situation in Egypt, and they were reviewing the concerns we raised in that letter, and as soon as possible they will send us a response to the letter. And for me, I think that in view of the precedent that had been set by FIFA in Central Africa, in Syria, in Liberia, in Libya, in Cote d'Ivoire, I think that there is a compelling case for the match to be moved away from Cairo. I think that in the last 3 games that they played, which were played without fans, that could be a compromise. But even that, there could still be breaches of the peace, and that could create problems for Ghana, Egypt, and the international community.
Right, now let's hear from the captain of the side, Asamoah Gyan, as he thanked President John Mahama for his visit and a promise of a 50% increase in the winning bonuses if they defeat Egypt.
I would like to thank Mr. President for his visit this morning. Today is a special day for the Black Stars. And after the training, when we heard you were coming, it boosted our confidence. I think training has been successful. We started our training yesterday. And today, after this morning, we'll be having our flight too.
Well, that was the captain of the side, obviously. But the team has currently arrived in Kumasi for the final brush-ups for that game next Tuesday. They are in the Golden Tulip Hotel. Definitely, that'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Adejuna. Do you have a great evening? Israel joined us with international news.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Showbiz.
All right, UK-based Ghanaian musician Stephanie Benson has been telling Showbiz that she's putting up a music school to help boost the Ghanaian music industry.
I think that we need to learn. So we're going to be studying English, we're going to be studying the art of performance, and the ones who want to learn how to play instruments like the piano, the guitar, drums, whatever, it's all going to be there. Sometimes you have people who play and sing, like I do. I mean, I went to the National Academy of Music, so for that reason I want to be able to have somebody who can do that, because we want musicians who can actually play as well. They don't have to play on stage, but if you can play, it helps with your vocals. Emma, on around feeling good. Or just a kind of mama also I get this a 2-pack. And then you're the one that's gonna please me. And that damn you blow mama energy. You need to give it up, get it in. Do you want a good feeling? Would you send me a fine sugar mama na mean to me kasa mema kasa fa oboga kokaswa.
All right, Kwabena Otri Daku, known by his stage name or Brafo or Rapsofo, may have been rated as one of the finest rappers Ghana has ever had. But Kwame, a native of Obri, believes he is a real match for Obrafo. When he chanced on Obrafo and Obri, he saw his opportunity to prove his rap skills.
Sanitation. That's right. Sanitation. I will be your Kale. I want to be come here. Me want crank. I did it down. Yeah. Because Barapo. One Tom. In a lot of things, you can say to feel like a better mountain. For the wicked who bend the borders, I fitted the arrow to shoot the upright again. And the forest in the soul, what can the right do to them? I can't train a while by you. Mamma, sorry. I'm saying, I'm for. I'm a Santa Frato. I'm saying, Woodiful. I'm saying, the Ramboson. Yantibiga. Inside are the dogs, dog party spiritism, the fornicator and the murderers, the idolaters and dog crank. I will be your Kylie. I can't even come on here. No one crank.
Okay, that's it for showbiz. Before we go, one construction worker has been killed in a crane collapse at a site here in Accra. Government has described the threat of a nationwide industrial action over the recent utility tariff hikes as misplaced and misdirected. The local chapter of TEU at the Ghana Medical School Akolebu today locked up lecture halls in agitation over allowances. The UNAIDS has pledged to support local pharmaceutical company Dana Dance to secure WHO certification for the production of antiretrovirals. And inflation for September increased to a 3-year high at 11.9%. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.